minutes.
Stop, Mackenzie. No, for dinner. Okay, with dinner.
Yeah, we'll set it aside. You can have it with dinner. Yeah, not right now. Go back in the living room. No, not right now. Bring it here. Bring it here. Bring it here. Go back in the living room. You can have it with dinner. So tonight we're doing something a little different, and I'm gonna make a mushroom. This is my first time making a mushroom with needle felting. I never really did this before, so we're gonna see how this works out. This is the stem that I'm working on right now. Just kind of pulling together this rough stem shape. I think this is a nice color. I didn't want it to be a white. I wanted this kind of creamy yellow color for a stem. I think that's a better color than just like a pure white. If it would be a pure white, then I would have worked in, a bit of brown, just some other little flecks of color to give it a bit more depth and texture. But it's gonna be a kind of this brown tannish color. And you can see it just starting out with wool. This is the wool we started with here just a moment ago. And it's coming together pretty quickly. Just gonna be a little stem. Just make sure we get the shape right. And once I get the stem done, I think the mushroom will be easy. It's just gonna be 2 parts, stem and then a cap. This has 5 needles there. So the multiple needles makes it a little easier to push through here. This was the last thing that I made. And it's a she, right? She came together really well. I put a magnet in her back and to stick it on the refrigerator because I wanted to hang on the refrigerator. The legs are not that sturdy, so I didn't want to have this on the ground. I wanted it to be up on the refrigerator. But she needs a bit more, she needs another magnet. She's kind of heavy, so I didn't need another magnet. Just let her sit right there. But yeah, nice little mushroom here. I think it'll be a nice little addition. I'm really stepping back into needle felting. I want to get more done with polymer clay, but I feel as though, polymer clay takes longer because I have to craft it and then I have to bake it. And that baking adds a bit of time. It's not as easy to do for a live. Good evening. We're doing well here tonight. You may hear the kids in the background. A lot of them are in the living room. Some of them are finishing up homework. Some of them upstairs. And Blair and I have split the task of cooking. I've cooked my section. She's finishing up her section. So I don't know how long I will have to work on this tonight, but I just I really want to get this started because I just think mushrooms are really cool. So when I did the legs the last time, I did not work the ends very well. And that came back to bite me in the sense of when I tried to connect the legs for this one to the rest of it, they didn't attach very well. So I said, okay, that means I have to spend more time on these ends to tighten them up. Just working through here, working around this. Just kind of keep twisting and turning. The turning is how I get the shape because the needle isn't really moving. If you think about it, I'm trying to keep the needle in pretty much the same location, but just turning. And of course, keeping my fingers back. There we go. Okay, so that's loose. It's still not tight. It's nowhere near as refined as I want it. This is just kind of giving me the general shape that I want, and I'll continue to refine it. But you can see this end, and you look at the other end, it's still fluffier. So it's gonna work my way down and tighten all this up. And I figure I can get at least this first section of this completed here tonight. Just jump on a live. This functions as a bit of motivation for me to go ahead and work through these projects. I'm using primarily, this is a larger needle, and with the larger needle, if you look and you see how when I try to push in, it's creating a huge indentation. You see that indentation that it's making. And I mean, okay, especially on this end where it's tighter, see how the large needle is making that indentation? It's not really pushing in. I'll switch, turn it around. Now look at this looser end, you'll see still a lot of indentation. So this is kind of just letting you know that this wool is a little too tight for the largest needle. It's a really large needle. Now it will work, just a demonstration. Loose, completely loose wool. Now look, the large needle will go straight through that. Goes into that, no problem. But as you start to tighten the wool up, you have to shift down needle sizes to kind of think of it like more of a finesse needle. So this is not really working well. So I'm gonna put that down and go back to this one. This is a spiral needle, very, very narrow, very thin, very sharp if you were to poke yourself. So I try to keep my fingers back here and keep the, the movement working end up here. Where do I want to live in 5 years? That's a really good question. I like that one. It's really hard to say. Oh, okay. It's hard for me to answer that question because it's not me independently. If it was just me independently, I'd have one answer. So I'll give you two answers. I say, okay, if I could just do what I wanted to do, where I want to go, 5 years from now, I don't know. We wanted to move to Southeast Asia. I would love to be in Southeast Asia. I think that would be cool. At least spend some time over there. Japan, I studied Japanese for several years. That would be cool. If I were still in the UK in 5 years, then I would have kids who are graduating from high school, heading into different phases of life. That could potentially also be pretty cool. Back in the States, 5 years, yeah, I could see that working as well. But considering that I'm not necessarily independent, right? Representative of 8 people, myself, Blair, and our 6 kids. We're trying to balance, Blair and I are trying to balance our movements and what we do with what's the most productive for the kids. Like we would probably love to be complete, just wander around the world, but we can't do that because we'd have to drag the kids along with us. It would be unfair to have them moving around a lot. So for them, for the sake of that, we'll probably be somewhere stationary, stable, not moving as much as I would like. At one point, I wanted to move to Hawaii, but Hawaii is very expensive just because it's, it's an island chain and everything has to get flown in. So it's very expensive. So it's hard to say exactly where I'd want to go. Southeast Asia, I think would be cool. UK would not be bad if we were still here in 5 years because we spent so much time in this country. Deeper into Europe, I don't know. I do love the fact that here in the UK, we can, the lack of a language barrier cannot be underestimated. I mean, it is so soothing to be able to go out and no matter where I go in the UK, yes, of course, there's a lot of different British accents, but I can communicate with anyone. So I love being in an English speaking country. It just makes it so much easier for my life to be able to operate. So I would want to be in an English speaking country. There are several around the globe, though. So I don't know. We are focusing, I think, more on a shorter timeline. Whereas, okay, where are we going to be this year, next year? I think that would be a good place. What is this? Oh, didn't see it. I think it went away. But yeah, 5 years, maybe back in the US, maybe still in the UK. Realistically, we'll probably be in one or two places in 5 years. We'll either be back in the US or we'll still be here in the UK. And a lot of that, again, is dependent on what is going to be able to create the most stable environment for the kids. It's really interesting. The youngest are absolutely developing. The twins who were born here in the UK are developing, in some ways, the strongest British accent, but it makes sense. It does make sense. As I mentioned, they were born here. So all of their, nursery school has been with British educators, and to hear the British accents is developing as they're beginning to talk more. It's kind of funny to me. Not in a bad way. I knew that this was always a potential. When we moved over here, we thought that our older kids would pick up more of a British accent than they have. But, it is what it is. And it's not a bad thing. So you can see this is really fuzzy. As I continue to work with this, it will tighten up. And really, it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, it's coming together, I think, kind of quickly, all things considered. There are people who use mechanical needles that you plug them in and it's kind of like a sewing machine. And I saw those, and if I was trying to do something really, really fast, if I was doing a big project, I could see. I don't think it would be very productive for a live stream because it would just be way too noisy. I am excited for summer as well. The temperature, we were out in Manchester this weekend, and it was raining, but the temperature warmed up to about, I'm going to say this in Fahrenheit. I don't know. I had to look it up in Celsius, but it was about 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And it was raining, and I think it was even nighttime. And I was able to walk outside without a jacket on. I had on a sweatshirt, and it was a light drizzly rain, and I took my jacket off because I got hot. I was like, oh my goodness, I could feel the change in the air. The warmer temperatures are coming in. The days are already starting to get longer. And I would tell anyone, quick, fast, and in a hurry, it is hard to beat the UK in the summer. The temperatures are moderate. It's not too hot. The days are endless. I love the long summer days here. Now, of course, it gets like really hot around end of July, the month of August. It's pretty toasty. But aside from that, the June, the early half of July, temperature is great. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Summer, can't wait on it. Now in the US, summer's nice, but it just gets so much hotter, swelteringly hot in some cases. Okay, so this is the stem. It's kind of long, but this is the stem for the mushroom. And I was thinking of doing a red cap, but I kind of feel like this red is a bit bright. I'm very much a proud American. My country, I feel like has its warts and, its problems. I think every country, if you look, every single country has problems. Like no country is perfect, but I'm very proud American. I feel like this is a more of a muted color, and I feel like this is a little too bright. I just feel like those aren't going together well. So I have another red, which is a bit of a darker color red. I think that'll match better. And so it is interesting to look at the US while living abroad from here where I am, to look back at the US and see how things are happening and evolving there. And, it's just very different to see. But I do recognize that I feel like this red is a little better. Yeah, it's just not so aggressive. Okay, now let's start on the cap. But kind of make the size maybe a little bigger. I may use a lot of this. I'm gonna leave just a little. I'm gonna use a lot of this red. Unfortunately, well, this is my first mushroom, so it may not come out great. Let's just see what we end up with. I do feel as though living outside of your country of birth and then you look back at your country, it allows you to see things a little clearer because you're not sitting in the middle of everything that everyone else is sitting in the middle of. And so my perspectives are probably going to be a little different right now because I'm outside of the US and I look back and I see things happening. And my perspective is different on some of the issues that are happening right now. But I also try not to voice a whole lot of that because I'm not living in the middle of it, right? A lot of people are living in the middle of it. And so it's not really fair, I feel, for me to have a lot of strong opinions about a lot of things that just right now aren't completely personally affecting me. I'm just kind of working this in the shape that I want it to be. So the first shape I'm trying to make is just basically a ball. And then I'm going to work it from there. I really should take out so this is a large needle, it's a small needle. I need a medium-sized needle. A medium needle would probably go a little faster. These, I think, are closer to medium, but they're not very long. So just kind of keep working this. Can't rush the process. Rushing is also a good way to poke yourself in the finger with a very sharp needle. But one thing that you do have when you live outside the country is that you miss some of the cultural nuance. Like there are things happening and I'm just unaware of it. So when I go back and I'll be talking to family members, I say, hey, what's this? And they're like, oh, it's this and the other. Like everyone knows that. And I'm like, I don't know that. So you do miss things. We've been out of the country for over 5 years. So, you could just think about it as half a decade. So there's been a lot of change. There are whole brands that have disappeared and whole brands that have come up. And so you kind of miss some of those things. Buc-ee's was something that when I left was not really a big thing. And now Buc-ee's is huge. And Buc-ee's is just if you're not familiar, Buc-ee's is a petrol station, but it is massively large. You can Google on YouTube Buc-ee's and you'll see people do tours of these stores because of how large they are. And they sell some of everything in there. They have up to 120 different petrol what do you call it? Pumps. They can have up to 120. They're just massive, absolutely massive. And they're quite the experience. So when we went back last summer, we hunted down several Buc-ee's and we went in and we had the Buc-ee's experience. But when we left the US, it wasn't really a thing. There's this other company called Hey Dudes and they make shoes. And I go back and everyone's like wearing these shoes. I'm like, what are those? And they're like, oh, these are Hey Dudes. I'm like, they're what? Hey Dudes. I'm like, that is the weirdest name for shoes. That doesn't even make any sense to me. But it's just kind of, you miss things when you're out of the country for a long time. What are you gaining? Well, you gain the experience and exposure of the country that you're in. Like I'm learning a lot about the UK. Been over here for a while. I can tell you though, I cannot talk to you about politics in this country. I have specifically not involved myself with learning British politics. I think that it is hard enough to keep up with politics in your own country. And I try to keep up with US politics. And I'm like, well, I don't think I could ever try to keep up with British politics. The terms are different. Everything is different. And I'm like, and it's really for the Brits. That's how I feel about it. And so I can't speak to you about anything related to British politics. I keep up with laws as they change, if they affect me. But other than that, keep my head down and kind of keep going. Okay, well, you can see what we have here. Not bad. Not bad. Just kind of starting to take a little shape. this is kind of the shape that I wanted. It looks really rough right now. It doesn't look really good. This is overall the shape that I wanted to get to with this cap. Oh, like the ocean sound. I like the sound of the ocean. Well, it could be overwhelming depending on where you are. We were down in Devon. We were in Exmouth, if I'm saying it right. And it was really windy. And the beach was very noisy there. But not in a bad way. The wind was blowing, waves crashing, Salt water. You leave and you have this, you lick your lips and it's just kind of slightly salty. I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool experience. So I have to make sure that I don't press this top end too much because I did want it to be more of a conical shape, but it's going a little flat on the top. And the proportions are wrong. That's fine. I can work on that. But what I need to do is work this section right here because this is going to Let me just go ahead and tighten this up, make the indentation where the stem is going to attach. To make this work, I will likely cut the stem in half because right now it's a little too long. Again, this is my first mushroom. Never made a mushroom before, so the first one's always a bit of a trial and error to see kind of what works, what doesn't work.
Daddy, I want to play upstairs.
Is Brayden upstairs?
No.
Who's upstairs?
I want to play with Matthew.
Matthew upstairs?
I want to play with Matthew.
Is Matthew upstairs?
No.
Where's he at? He's in the living room?
No.
Well, where is he?
He's in the playroom.
Then go ahead, go upstairs. If he's up there, you can go up there with him.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that they was to come with me.
Go tell Matthew if he's go ahead, go upstairs.
I see my phone.
You don't okay, go find Matthew.
I don't like sweet phone.
Okay. Trey, Brayden, Matthew, come downstairs. Trey, Brayden, Matthew, come downstairs.
Okay. So I got the little indentation. It's kind of coming together. It's still really loose though. I won't lie to you. This is nowhere near as tight as it would have to be a completed piece. This is really, really loose. Like this is not.
Somebody needs to go change the channel for Kenzie.
So I'm just gonna have to work this cap a lot more to tighten it on down.
You understand? Oh, it's trash? Pick it up.
I have the general shape that I want, but it hasn't been tightened up anywhere near as much as it needs to be.
Figure it out.
Okay. So now I'm kind of tightening the cap up, just working around this. You can see this indentation. You can see this indentation here where I'm just kind of tightening around here. So this is all loose and all of this has to be tightened up quite a bit more.
You better move that. If you're gonna sit there and lie, you better let's try this again. Don't patronize me. Get up. Do it. Clean the room. Clean the floor. Straighten up the shoes, all the dirty clothes, put them where they need to go. You understand me?
So bringing this on around. It's just going to take a little bit of time to work all the way around this cap. And I can tell you now, I did not use enough red wool because the cap is way smaller than the stem.
Yes, he is. No, he's not. No, trying to take a shower. He's getting on class.
Okay, come in here. So it's losing the shape. It will regain the shape as I continue to work on around it. But I realize this is going to be way smaller. So this stem that I have is not going to work because it's way too big. I will probably take some scissors, cut it in half, and make a much smaller mushroom. I need to work on the cap. And I realized to do a conical, the shape that I wanted to do, I didn't start out the right way to get that shape. So this is going to have a different look to it entirely than what I had originally prepared.
Put it in the bathroom. I actually addressed it today.
I forgot them.
Okay, coming on around here. So sometimes you realize these projects, when you start them, you have an idea that it will take a certain amount of effort. And I had one amount of effort prepared for this, and I'm realizing that this is going to take quite a bit more than I had in mind to get this completed. And I will need a lot more wool to make the cap. So I'm only halfway done. I have to go all the way around the rest of this to tighten. This is way too loose. All this had to be tightened up. I will cut this probably right here and attach it. But right now this cap is tightening down really small. So I probably should use the other red. I do like this darker color red, but I just didn't have enough of it. I have to go back to the store. That is one of the hard things with this particular hobby, is that it uses a lot of wool because you're just compressing it down, constantly compressing it. And so I need more red. It's not the most expensive to buy this colored wool, but it's also not cheap. And so considering the amount that I would need to make the size cap that I want, there is a craft festival coming up in Birmingham. I think it's next month. And I definitely want to go to that. And they have talked about the fact that they're going to have people there that do needle felting or sell needle felting. And I'm like, I want to go to this craft festival to pick up some wool because I definitely don't have enough. Okay, just kind of working on around this way. This coming together, just taking a bit of time. Unfortunately, I think we're going to run out of time tonight because the kids, I'm looking at the time, we're overdue on some of the things we need to get done here to get everyone in bed. Okay. Okay, so this is going to take a bit of time. This came together well. I like this part. This worked out well. It's just, I realized if I wanted to make a mushroom, if I didn't think about the proportions, even if I cut this in half. So let's cut it in half. It's about this long, right? The cap needs to be about this big, big as my fist, or like this big to match. And this is the size cap that I have right now. And as I continue to tighten this down, it's going to be very, very small. So I would actually, to make this look right, I would actually start, I'm going to keep this stem. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to keep this stem. And I'm going to do a big cap because I wanted to make a big mushroom. So I realized I got to get this, the stem maybe even need to be a little bit thicker. That's why I said this is the first time that I'm working on this. The first time out, the biggest thing is getting these proportions right. Proportions are completely wrong here. So yeah, I would just kind of continue to work on this. I'm going to set this stem aside. I'll come back to that. I'm going to continue to work on the cap. Next time I'll probably start with the cap, because once I get the cap sized properly, then it's easier to know how to make the stem. I started it with the stem, and I think next time I will start with the cap. So I'm going to pick this up next time, continue to work on this cap, tighten this down, then make a much smaller stem that will match it. Yeah, that's what I'm going to work on. So I'm going to probably jump on here again. I don't know if I'll do it tomorrow, but if I can get to this through the rest of this week, because I want to get this at least one mushroom completed. And if I can, I'll get to it before the end of this week. But I'm going to cut this live short because the kids and the family, they need the table, and I got to daddle with all of this stuff and get all shit down because tomorrow is another work day. Appreciate everyone jumping on live. It has been a lot of fun. I will continue to do this. And if you like it, just kind of be sure to like and subscribe so you can see when I jump back on the next time to work on the project. And again, I need to put another magnet. You can't see the magnets because I bury them, but there's 3 magnets in the back of this. But as I mentioned, this one is heavy. So she sits on the refrigerator and then she starts to slide. But I like the way it came together. That's a finished project until, definitely when I get the magnets in, it'll be finished. This is the next project. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Take care.